I firmly believe that a man who is not his own doctor, that man is a fool. A man who would just outsource his own health and then by extension his family's health to external resources entirely, I think that man is a fool. I think that's such a missing component of masculinity and manhood specifically, the comprehension of health and the body and wellness at such an internal level. Because, yeah, I'm not saying never rely on trusted professionals. They are tools all the same as anything else. But having a working comprehension of how to keep yourself and your family healthy, I think that should just be a basic tenet of manhood.
Hi, Zakaria. How are you doing? Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Mark. It's a great day. How are you?
Great, great. I have been very excited to talk to you because you are in a very interesting and important space, educating people how to take action so that they could potentially live a life without cancer. How did you get into this?
That's correct. How I got into cancer specifically, it was just a matter of networking, right place, right time. I would attend networking events just to meet other professional men in different industries. And it was at one casual event. It was only a handful of us, maybe five, six guys. I just saw this really cool gentleman and I got to chatting with him and he said, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Carl. I work with a nonprofit organization in the holistic cancer education space." And I said, "Whoa," as someone that had for many years spent a lot of time diving into holistic health and wellness just for personal reasons, I said, "Wow, so do you talk about this and this, or do you go this way and talk about these things and these things?" And then his eyes lit up and said, "Whoa, who are you? How do you know these things?" And it was just such an instant click. He was such an awesome guy. We got to chatting throughout the night, followed up the next day, took a meeting. Turned out he was the CEO of the organization and he was looking for someone to partner up with. I was at a time in my life where I was looking for the next business venture to get into, the next thing to dedicate my life to in a whole way. And it was just a match made in heaven from there. So that's how I got into this industry as a profession or as a job or as a business. But on the personal side, like I alluded to, I had just been really studying into holistic health and wellness for several years, probably the better part of a decade. And that just stemmed from self interest. I love myself and I love the people around me. So if I come to learn that there are things beyond the everyday commonalities and common things that are said about health that can help me and help the people I love live healthier, longer, more fulfilled existences, how could I not look into them and learn everything I could possibly learn to help optimize our existences? And I think it would be a better world if more people thought like that.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, we're talking about longevity of life. We're talking about quality of life for not ourselves, but also our loved ones. And when something like that is on the line, you don't want to leave any stone unturned, right? You don't want to
I,
stick to a particular dogma just because we want to believe in that. We want to do everything that we can to be able to help ourselves or their loved ones.
Absolutely. I firmly believe that a man who is not his own doctor, that man is a fool. A man who would just outsource his own health and then by extension his family's health to external resources entirely, I think that man is a fool. I think that's such a missing component of masculinity and manhood specifically, the comprehension of health and the body and wellness at such an internal level. Because, yeah, I'm not saying never rely on trusted professionals. There are fantastic professionals out there in different capacities. They are tools all the same as anything else. But having a working comprehension of how to keep yourself and your family healthy, I think that should just be a basic tenet of manhood. I genuinely do. And I think that's so lost.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have increasingly gotten into a space where we have outsourced, like you say, more and more parts of our life to others. And while there is freedom in outsourcing in the terms of it frees us up for other things to do, there's also imprisonment in such an action because we truly don't know what's going into our bodies. And we truly don't
100%.
know who is taking care of us in what capacity.
100%. And yeah, like you don't necessarily have to know every single nitty gritty detail about every single little thing, but I think it would be wise to at least know how to find a piece of information, know what trusted but worthy resources are out there to dive into if ever needed, and network of good health professionals. Not the default health professional just on every street corner, not whoever your insurance company is going to recommend, but real health professionals who actually comprehend the body because the aforementioned outlets aren't necessarily going to have any of those people.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to cancer, there are so many belief systems that we have that I want to talk to you about. Things that we have heard and told to us as gospel. And I'm really curious to hear your viewpoint on this thing. One of the things is that it is genetic and we have no control over it. During your
Yeah.
research, during your work with others and educators, what have you found about the truthfulness of this statement?
Yeah, so genetics as a health schema have been such a scam and such a disempowering disservice to humanity at large because as soon as someone chalks something up to genetics, the conversation kind of ends there for most people. It's a cure-all excuse to not really take because, oh, it's genetics. And people cast these mental spells on themselves. Oh, this runs in my family, so I guess I'm just going to get that. So nothing I really do matters. And it's a very lazy, excuse-oriented mental construct because there's at that point, right? It's very nihilistic as well. But it couldn't be farther from the truth. And there's science that backs up the concept of epigenetics. Genetics is valid, right? Our genes are important. Our genetic makeup has a say in how we externally present. But what's left out of the equation is the epigenetics. And that is the scientific study of how our environment and style and how whatever we experience through life can actually alter our genes at that genetic cellular DNA level. That's the importance, the exciting stuff, because it's not necessarily what cards you're dealt in life, it's how you play. And you can pick up new cards and you can put certain cards down. That's the really exciting and the empowering. You can literally change your DNA. And so to back up a little bit, right? Let's break down what genetics really means in regards to illness and whatnot. If someone does things in life or experiences things in their life that damage their DNA, damage their genes. If that person reproduces, they're passing down damage to their offspring. That's true. But that offspring then, as long as they grow into being a sovereign adult, can make choices that can repair that DNA. And then you break the chain, you break the cycle. And the problem compounds because we're many generations into this artificial modern world with artificial habits. And we do have, in a lot of families, generations of pretty poor choices that have compounded into very bad damage DNA. So a lot of people are being dealt very bad cards. That's true. There's always something that you could do to be in a better standpoint. Can you get yourself to being 100% the epitome of human health? Maybe not. If you can make conscious choices and get yourself up and even in better in any regard, you get to 75, 80, 90, 95. Who knows? I won't rule it out and say you can't get to 100. If any of those are possible, why not make actions and efforts on every single day to get yourself into a better standpoint? Because you're only going in one direction. Anything you do in every single day, you're only getting closer to health or closer to sickness and ailment. Either way, you're getting closer to death through age. So why not try to go in a positive direction?
Absolutely. Going back to like leaving no stone unturned. It is about our health and it is about wanting to invest the time and the energy and the money we have to be able to make sure we live the longest life and the healthiest life. And there's
Yeah.
information out there that could potentially help us. It doesn't hurt anybody to listen to it and give it a try if they think they want to give it a try. For those who are listening to this, because cancer is just one of those things that everybody is scared of, everybody is petrified of. So,
Yeah.
as my audience is listening to this, they are dying to know certain things that they could possibly be doing to avoid the big C in their life. Can you
Yeah.
share with us some things that they could be doing?
Yeah, and I think more importantly than things we can be doing is sometimes, or maybe it's an equal 50-50, is things that we can not do. Because, like I said, everything either contributes to health or contributes to unwellness. And we all know, maybe we all do. I think maybe some people don't. But general people know the things that aren't necessarily so good for you. But then there are plenty sneaky ones too. The obvious one's food, right? It's not super exciting to talk about, but it is so essential. Which input is output. What you put into your body is what your body has to work with, what your body has to thrive with, right? You wouldn't put, I don't know, water in your gas tank and expect your car to work well. And you have to put good stuff in to get a good performance out of a machine. And our bodies are biological machines. My advocation for food is just to eat real food and make it as clean as possible. Don't freak yourself out too much, but we all know to not eat processed food. Come on, that's not even food. It's food-like products. It's products that have been tricked into the public consciousness to be considered food, and they're just genuinely not. If it's artificial, if it wasn't a plant or ate plants, you probably shouldn't eat it, right? So try to stay away from the artificial things. Artificial colors are nasty, artificial sweeteners. That's one of the super easy ones. And there's different schools of thought, plant-based versus animal-based. I think that varies heavily person by person. I think different body types, different even have different biological necessities to what makes an optimal diet for that person. Obviously, it depends on what you're looking to get out of your body as well. But I think either direction, plant-based, animal-based, or somewhere in between, you'll be better off than if you're eating processed junk. So that's a major one. But then on the other side of input is, of course, water. Our bodies are what percent water? It's at least a majority of it, right? Everyone agrees on that. So why would we not want that large majority of our body and of our cells to be quality? And for some reason, there's people out there that think water is just water and water's all the same because they look at it and it looks clear. And so it's just all the same to them. And that's unfortunately a very immature and downright wrong way to look at it. Water is not just water. There's a lot of things in water that can leave it still looking clear, but can be very harmful. Pesticides, hormones, antibiotics, all these garbage things, purposely added fluoride and chlorine, etc. And all of these things are going to add up and wreak havoc on the body in various capacities. But then even beyond that, if you just filter your water, now when I say filter your water, let me give a caveat there because that does not necessarily even something that's understood by people. When I say filter your water, I'm not saying that little filter in your fridge that's not doing anything. I'm not saying a little Brita filter that's not doing anything. I'm saying like a real filtration system. My recommendation for most people for ease of use and affordability is a quality four-stage reverse osmosis filter. They're very available on Amazon, whether you can install it under the sink in line with your faucet, or if you want to do a countertop unit, both are achievable depending on your circumstances. But I would say that's my minimum for making water at least drinkably clean. But then there's different schools of thoughts on this. My preference is once that water has been properly filtered and at least a good amount of the majority of things have been taken out that shouldn't be in there, I like to add back in a blend of organic minerals because to me, this most mimics the natural water cycle of evaporation, filtration, and precipitation, and then water running along the ground, which is more filtration, but also the picking up of natural mineral sediment from the earth. And then that's to me the most natural way to drink water. There is different schools of thought, but that's what I do. That adding the minerals back into the water is essential because it actually molecularly structures and changes the water presents. And that actually, to me, logically makes it the most absorbable. But there's different schools of thought on that. So why would we not want to make our body consist of clean water when we know our body exists of the majority water? And then the other side of water is, of course, what you bathe and shower in, because our skin is porous. Our skin's the largest body and it's porous and it's absorbent, especially if you take a warm shower, hot shower, which are fantastic. Tap water has chlorine. Again, all the things I named before, antibiotics, etc. And anyone that's ever experienced like a bit of like headedness or you airy in the head after a long hot shower, it's actually chlorine. It's actually chlorine in the water aerating from the heat and enclosed space, chlorine gassing yourself. That's wild. And that's actually a super easy one to address. You can get a very cheap screw-on filter for your shower and notice if you're any sort of privy to how your body is reacting in a state of health. Skin, nicer nails, nicer hair, a nicer headspace when you're in those long hours. People don't think about these things and they're so simple and they're oftentimes very, and it's such a, those two things alone are so, and there's more, but I've been talking for a while, so I'll let you chime in here.
No, I love everything you're saying, right? When you talked about food, you talked about if it's not a plant or something that eats a plant, stay away from it. Makes sense. So simple and so beautiful. Drinking water, talked about affordable filters that can take the chemicals out. And then you talked about adding in some minerals. So, what about drinking something like spring water? Is that better or are there problems with it as well?
The problem when we get into conversations like this is there's not just like a spring water is this. That term can get put on so many different things. Are we talking about going down to your natural spring in your local town and getting water from there? assuming your government hasn't filled it in with concrete, which they love to do? Are we talking about a plastic water bottle that says spring water on it? Then obviously the plastic, and where does that spring actually come from? Are they actually truthful on their label? But then in any of these options as well, the world is so contaminated, unfortunately, with different things that if that spring has an abundance of chemicals in the form of pesticides or even aerosol sprays from the sky that will run down, or all the abundance of other things that might be in the area, then that's going to get into the groundwater as well, and that's going to get into the spring water. Spring water, in essence, in its unperverted natural state, is wonderful. Actually, the best water I've ever had in the world is when I was camping up in the mountains of Las Marias, Puerto Rico. Very high elevation. There's no containment up there. There was no pesticides. There was no manufacturing. It was just a very high elevation, beautiful place. And there was an abundance of springs just right out of the earth. And wow, that I would fill my bottles from there. I would walk from my campsite over to the spring and fill a couple glass bottles, and that was just the crispest, nicest water. I smile thinking back to it because it was so refreshing. It was the perfect chilled temperature coming right out of the ground. It was just beautiful. Like the body felt happy. My cells felt happy consuming it. It sounds strange to someone who just thinks, water is water, but go experience a true natural clean spring and then maybe don't. You'll ruin all other water for yourself.
Yeah, maybe it's not good to do that because you'll never be the same ever again. I love it. So obviously you bring up a great point, right? It's common sense almost that you want to eat clean food, you want to eat clean water, but unfortunately it's never the lack of information, it's the emotions associated with it, right? Forget about eating clean or drinking clean water. People are still smoking, even though it says literally on the packet it can cause cancer. So let me ask you this question. These habits that you're talking about, eating clean, drinking clean, taking care of yourself, even while you shower, are they really changing the genetic expression? Are they really changing genes at a level that it's now, if you are predisposed to cancer, that it's possibly undoing that?
There's a two-part answer to that question. Firstly, I'll always give the caveat that I'm not a researcher, right? I haven't spliced up some genes and put them under a microscope, observe them and see did they change, whatever. I'll always give that caveat that I haven't done studies, right? And personally, I'm someone that I don't really care about studies. There's better uses of time, and you can more so use your logic and intuition and get different resources and filter them through to come to conclusions and then yourself and be your own researcher. But allegedly, that there are some studies out there, an abundance of them, that have explored that you can actually change your genetic expression. But beyond this, the nitty gritty of the science stuff, because again, I haven't done it myself, so I don't even speak to it too much. You can just observe reality. You can just observe reality. So going back to these things run in our family common trope that's often runs in families are lifestyle habits, food habits, exercise habits, or lack thereof, different emotional habits, emotional traumas, and personality types. Those things run in families, and the kinds of things that, if they're not done in a conscious and healthy way, contribute to cancers. And if they're done in a conscious way, those people seem to be good and well. Just if you observe around you, let's not even rely on outsourced studies. Around you, people who have families who are sick and very unwell, and then for some reason they do everything differently and they get entirely different results. We can use our eyes. And so if cancer is some genetic destiny and sibling 1, 2, and 3 got it, but 4 lives an entirely different lifestyle and he didn't. Is that magic? Is that magic? So no. Yeah, does it answer the question fully? It's there are scientists that allege exactly what you're saying, but I'll say let's observe reality. Let's look around us.
No, I don't think there is any question in anybody's mind that should be entertained. That is that does lifestyle choices affect us or not? Absolutely. We just talked about the example of smoking, right? Smoking is a lifestyle choice that just increased the likelihood of cancer. It only makes to sense healthier lifestyle choices could decrease the likelihood of cancer. So that
I
makes
like that
sense.
you said that. I like that you said that because my thoughts are probably going to be controversial in this space, but I actually use tobacco quite frequently. I smoke cigars and I smoke shit, and I very much enjoy them. But I know that on the grand scheme of my health, I do so many things that are healthy and bring me in that level of the spectrum that I'm never concerned about getting any sort of ailment, to be honest. And if I did, for whatever reason, I know I could do something about it to then undo it. And tobacco is a very fascinating thing that's occurred because tobacco has been conflated with cigarettes. But Cigarettes aren't tobacco. They're tobacco plus this and this and this and this and all these different things. Whereas cigars are just a leaf, which is itself just an ancient, in many different cultures, an ancient spiritual practice, even. And that's very fascinating, I imagine, to hear from someone in this industry. But yeah, I don't necessarily demonize myself tobacco. A lot of people do. I think there's different iterations of it. And again, it's all about a spectrum. I think perhaps if you studied the average tobacco user, they're also doing a lot of other unhealthy things. That's probably the case. I like to I feel enigmatic sometimes where I'll have cigars or cigarillos, mini cigars, but then every morning swishing my oil mouth with coconut oil and doing a coconut oil pull to pull out whatever toxins might be in there. Combustion is carcinogenic. That's truth. That's 100% truth. But personally, I don't demonize tobacco as much as it has been demonized.
Very interesting. Very interesting. For those who are listening, are there other things other than what you laid out that could, in terms of healthier lifestyle, things that they could be doing or things they should avoid doing that could possibly bring them farther away from the likelihood of getting cancer?
Yeah, so on the physical side of things, there's so many other things that we interact with on a given day. You got to remember your body is porous, right? In all the different ways. Your skin's absorbing things. Your nose is breathing things in. Your mouth is breathing things in. Everything is intaking whatever is around you. So if you curate your reality to only make sure that there's natural things around you and not chemicals around you, then you're probably going to be in a better standpoint. But most people do the opposite. The average person has so many chemicals that they put all around their house and all around their body on any given day. And it's absolutely insane to me. It's absolutely insane. The chemicals that people use to clean their house, like this chemical for the counters, this chemical for the floor, this chemical in the air to make it fresh, this chemical like to wash the stove, like all these different chemicals. You really don't need more than water and vinegar to clean your house. You can clean your entire house with water and vinegar. Add a little Castile soap sometimes for different things. Yeah, put a little essential oils, it'll smell good. That's really all you need. But the consumerism that has been pulled in society has had people purchasing all these different chemicals to do all these different things. It's absolutely insane. And they're spraying these things and wiping these things all over. Do you not think that they're ending up in your body? You're washing dishes with chemicals, you're washing your clothes in chemicals, and then wearing those clothes. You think those all, they don't. And then you're just permeating chemicals through your skin. The detergent's one thing, but the dryer sheets are even worse. It's absolute. But then even on another level, what are the clothes made of themselves that you're wearing? Because clothes aren't meant to be made out of natural fibers. Cotton, we have linen, we have wool, there's hemp fibers that can make some clothing. Anything other than that is harmful. Anything other than that is plastic. Anything other than that is plastic fibers that are damaging on so many levels of our bodies. One, we're leaching plastic fibers through your skin and into your skin. There's already plastic everywhere. You really don't want to be putting it directly into your skin on that level all the time. But even beyond that, the plastic clothing, it hinders your body's ability to breathe, which then that harbors negative bacteria, which then that actually at an energetic level is said to damage your energetic emanation and your aura, if you will, and that of different ramifications. But people don't think about these things. These plastic clothes are actually a huge problem for people. And it's something that we're massively exposed to. And then that obviously extrapolates out to bedding and bed sheets because you're all wrapped up in that on a given night. So, what fabrics are we interacting with? That's not random. That's absolutely essential. Cotton and linen and wool. You feel good, look good, and it's just meant to be on our bodies. But beyond that, it's like I said, the cleaning products, the skin products, those are easy ones. I really shouldn't spend that much time on those. Aside from the physical stuff, there's the spiritual stuff because we are not just cool beings, right? We have this consciousness to us, we have emotions, we have thought processes. We are metaphysical in nature, and our body are just the physical representation or the vessel that is carrying this metaphysical side of us. They're intertwined and they go back and forth with their state of healthiness or unwellness. And so a lot of people aren't keeping themselves emotionally and spiritually in check. That's a very open-ended thing to us. It's very sad the state of public consciousness and individuals' consciousness levels and individuals' emotional state. People are people are very broken and people are living very unhappy and people are living in very tumultuous relationships, either familial or romantic or anything. People are living without self-esteem and self-respect or people that respect them around them. And as we've in this modern world become more individualistic or lonely, and as we've separated men from masculinity and separated women from femininity, people are feeling disenfranchised in what it even means to exist as a man or woman themselves. And all of these things leave us just broken and stressed and not knowing what to do about it and not seeing a light at the end of the tunnel that is this eternal suffering that most people are living through. And that's not for our bodies either. There's no disconnecting our physical and our emotional health. When we experience those emotional traumas, and obviously we have an abundance of horrific acted upon different people, and even at small or seemingly large scale levels. And all of these things, these energies, they cannot be destroyed. No energy can be destroyed. It can only be transformed and moved around and put in different places. And because the average person doesn't have really any healthy coping mechanisms or outlet mechanisms around them to even work these things out with, that energy is taken by our bodies and tucked away. And our body does this to protect us. It realizes, oh, our person can't handle this. We need to survive. It'll tuck that energy away and tuck it away and tuck it away. And this leads to such a myriad of physical manifestations of whether it's a general ache and pain, general fatigue in an area, or even down to cancer. When an energy tucks away, it's a very strong negative energy that turns an area sour after a while, and that turns our cells cancerous. And these kind of things and the lack of consideration of them in conventional outlets and avenues of so-called healthcare is part of the reason occurrence is so high. Because if you just cut something out of you that was created energetically, really dispelled the energy that's created it in the first place, what do you think's going to happen? And that's why a holistic approach is so fundamentally essential to long-term health and healing. Because if you're not addressing the physical and the side of things, and one of those is off, the other is going to follow suit being off again shortly after. And that's actually been scientifically studied. There's different correlations of specific types and forms of cancer, different organs and areas of the body with actual specific emotional trauma, personality traits, and emotional charges. And it's not something that's new to modern science by any means. It's something that's been known for in cultures that are however old. It's chakras or meridians and all these different terms to put on it. But yeah, there's no separating our emotional side and our spiritual side to our physical body. And the relationship of being unwell or of healing can directions on that side of things.
Absolutely. What you just said, it's so true. How we physically feel. And one doesn't even need to go and research this through papers. We just know it from living life that sometimes when we're physically feeling well, emotionally we are feeling well as well, and vice versa. Sometimes when emotionally not feeling well, we feel sick physically. So the concept of energy, the concept of the understanding the dance in between the physical self and the emotional self and the energy, tying it all into it and maintaining and managing that energy through fruitful relationships, through living life by a certain rules, ethics, values, morals, and living a certain way, that definitely has to have an effect on how we physically feel. You are the CMO of cancer.org. So let's talk a little bit about the type of services you guys provide, the type of educational materials you provide. So if somebody was listening to this and wanted to learn more about this, where would they go?
Yeah, absolutely. So there, our homepage is beatcancer.org. Our formal name is the Center for Advancement in Cancer Education, and that's what we're registered as a nonprofit in the United States here. But because that's a lot of words, a big mouthful, we go by beatcancer.org as well. So that's our homepage, and that'll bring you to our various programs. There's different buttons to click around, and we try to continually make it easier to navigate. But as a charity, our mission is to educate and help and empower as many people as humanly possible. And so we offer education in as many free avenues as we possibly can. One of the most flagship programs that we offer is that we have an in-house naturopathic doctor. She's been a naturopath for decades and been working in the field with patients for decades as well. And we offer free counseling with her. So anyone in the world that speaks English, because she's an English speaker, can call and get in contact with her, and she'll give you a call back. And she will work with someone one on one to give personalized counseling in regards to cancer. Whether you are just freshly diagnosed, whether you just have a concern and want to address a couple of things, whether you've had a recurrence or you are at whatever stage you are along the way, she'll offer counseling, she of course does an intake to really get to know you and does a deep dive into what has brought you to the current state of health that you're in. And she'll work with you on an ongoing basis as needed to address the matter at hand. And she's so wonderful. She's so old school. She's so natural in the way that she lives. She really practices what she preaches, and she's a super cool woman, and we're so proud to offer her services for free, and she's so proud of it. She's so mission driven. It's just her life. Her life is helping people, and we're truly thankful to have her on our team to be able to offer her services. So that's one of our flagship programs, and certainly a very powerful and impactful one. But then we do everything that we can in the modern age to get information out there. So we're on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all the different social media platforms. We have a wonderful team of content creation guys using our content and chopping it up into clips and shorts and putting it out there in a nice, digestible, and fun way. And that's a real great way to meet people where they're at because everyone's on social media anyway. So you might as well fill your timeline with some good stuff, learn a thing or two each day. So that's a great way to get involved. We have blogs, hundreds of blogs, hours of reading to do with links to different studies and articles and so many different things right on our website. We have weekly calls. Those are super fun. So every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we hop on a call and it's totally open to anyone in the world who would like to join. And we just discuss all things holistic health and healing and all things holistic cancer and really anything in regards to living a healthy life. It's an open forum chat. Anyone can hop on and pitch a topic of discussion or pitch a question and we just chat about whatever we have in mind that week. And that's, again, totally free, no commitment necessary. Just show up on the Zoom call. You can be anonymous if we welcome anyone to hop on camera, hop on mic, and participate that way. But you could also just type questions in the chat. We live stream those to socials as well. This way, people can get their questions in on social media. And that's just a super fun community aspect to Beat Cancer because life, like I was alluding to previously, is so isolating for so many people. A lot of people are already so alone. And when people come down with a cancer diagnosis or have any sort of health concern, a very common thing that happens is they feel even more isolated. And that's for a couple different reasons. Sometimes it's just because they shut down and shut everyone out. Sometimes they don't want to make their loved ones worry, so they don't even tell anyone about what's going on, and that can make you feel more lonely. Sometimes if they do tell people about it, then people start to behave strangely towards that person, whether it's being like super pity party and weird in that way, or trying to offer either unsolicited or unbased advice that like everyone has a thought and an opinion, and a good meaning mother or brother or sister might just want to spew at you everything that they think, even though they really have no knowledge on the topic. And that just adds more chaos to the fire. Obviously, if you go to a conventional healthcare facility, then you're going to be getting opinions and advice in that way. And that doesn't resonate with you, then that might, again, you feel like you really can't sometimes. It's very lonely of an experience, cancer and unwellness in general. And so to have this aspect where someone could just hop on and we're on a mission of holistic health and healing and wellness, and it's super easy, super low key, that's a really fun thing. And it's just fun. It's just fun. You don't have to have any sort of cancer concern or particular cancer centric thing to participate. Like I said, we're just talking about all things holistic health and wellness. On our last call yesterday, we were talking about so many things. We were talking about how artificial colors recently, there's been a movement of people waking up to them and realizing, that says red 40. I'm not going to eat that. And vested interests in processed food can't have that. So they've renamed all of those colors. It's not like red number 40 anymore. It's allure red. It's
Mm.
not yellow number whatever anymore. It's sunset yellow. Yeah. So there's always new trickery going on. And so we just bring to the table anything that was going on that week or in general. That's something that's relevant to anyone in life, not just people with a particular cancer concern. So again, that's a great thing. And then you can catch the recordings on our YouTube or different social medias where they get posted. Then we have our holistic cancer coaches. So we've trained and certified hundreds of holistic cancer coaches all around the world. And that's a fantastic thing because it allows us to spread our education and our messaging and help the most people possible because I've only got 24 hours in my day. The CEO, Carl, only has 24. Our doctor has 24. That's not a lot in comparison to how many people need help out there. So, through training hundreds of holistic cancer coaches all over the world that operate in different capacities, we have been able to multiply our impact and our reach in ways far beyond that which we'll ever be able to really know the extent of. And so that's a fantastic thing that someone can get involved with if they have a cancer concern and want to work with a coach. You go to our website and click on the Find a Cancer Coach directory. And that's a really cool thing that we offer because everyone is so individual. And how you educate someone is also very individual, right? There's someone that'll see me and like me and say, "Ooh, I want to learn more from that guy." And there might be some people that I'm not their cup of tea. That's okay. And the same thing will go for our in-house counselor. There's people that like her style and like her vibe, and then there's people that's maybe I don't really jive with her for whatever reason. That's okay. Everyone's individual and who they want to listen to. But we have coaches, every demographic and every style and different philosophies of health in general. So we really try to be a one-stop shop for whatever it takes for you to get your health and healing. So you could sort through there. They have their different capacities in which they work. They have their own independent free structures, of course. Some of them operate for free or next to nothing, and some of them have higher price packages. And again, this way we could just help people at all different levels. And then we have our courses. So, like I mentioned, all of the things that we offer in-house up until now are entirely free to participate in. And although we do accept donations, we don't like to rely on them. We like to be self-sufficient. And in the name of self-sufficiency, we also sell educational courses. And then the proceeds from that go into funding the free programs and keeping the wheels on the bus and keeping all our bills paid, etc. So it's all one course, it's all the same information, but we've segmented it into three tiers that are cumulative depending on someone's interest level. So the first tier will teach someone the fundamentals of what we go into, our true mind, body, spirit focused approach to health and healing. And the level two dives deeper than that. It goes deeper into the scientific side, but it also goes deeper into the spiritual side. That's where we start to talk about those emotional correlates and cancer prone personalities and stuff like that. And then if someone takes the entire course, level three, that's the Holistic Cancer Coach certification program. And that's the most comprehensive and that's the most extensive. And that's the one that it includes the most because when someone becomes a coach with us, they not just get the course and the course material, but they also get every single resource that we have as an organization, every single document to download, every single ebook that we can offer. You get access to our coaches only community on Telegram. Our coaches can chat and help each other out and communicate about resources throughout the week. We have a exclusive coaches only call. This way our coaches can chat and we can help each other get our businesses up. We can celebrate wins and we can get through challenges together. We can work on collaborations. We have an area for our coaches where they can log on and get ongoing resources that are continually added to beyond just the course material itself. And yeah, there's just so much that we offer our coaches because we are, as a mission organization, invested in not just them becoming coaches and taking our course. That helps one person, but we want we want to help their businesses up so they can actually impact the world and get client people and have the greatest reach that way. So we personally, myself and Carl, the CEO, personally assist our coaches in getting their coaching businesses up as well, whatever that means for you. So yeah, that's I suppose a very big nutshell of what we do here at Be Cancer.
No, I love it. You are on a big mission. So therefore it makes sense that it would be a big nutshell. Zakariya, we live in a world where everybody, every doctor, every medical service provider is happy and willing and jumping at providing a pill and a potion to solve all our problems. More and more people are waking up to the fact that perhaps we don't even have a health care, we have a sick care. So people like yourself, organizations like the ones you work for, are putting information out there, putting knowledge out there, simple things, logical things that we could perhaps start implementing in our lives today that could potentially increase the quality of our life and even protect us from deadly diseases like cancer. Thank you so much for your time, for appearing on the show, for sharing your knowledge. And I wish you the best of luck on the journey you are. And if you're somebody who's listening to this and wants to find out more, please connect with Zakariya and his organization so that you can make your life healthier and happier. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark.